Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome back to Too Ambitious. I am so happy that you all are joining me. I cannot believe that we are almost through January, which means that 2026 is definitely underway. And I hope that everyone's new year has been going well. People are still saying Happy New Year, and that's totally fine with me. I still don't know when that cutoff is. I think you can still say Happy New Year, maybe until like the end of January. That's what I'm giving people because it's been a rough 2025. So we're giving people a little bit more time to ease into 2026. But let me know where you all are joining me from. I know for some of us we have a winter storm that is approaching, so hopefully you all are safe and ready to hunker down, as they say. But let me know in the chat where you're joining me from. But if this is your first time watching this is a show that celebrates Black women and women of color founders who are changing the game. These women are not only extraordinary, but they are disruptors, they're innovators, and they are changing the shape of business in a way that some of us can only imagine. And so today, I'm super excited to have an innovative businesswoman with me today. Her name is Kavitta Ghai. She is the CEO and co-founder of Nectir, a purpose-built AI infrastructure that's powering personalized learning at over 100 institutions nationwide. Wow. Now, Nectar is considered to be the classroom of the future with personalized education powered by AI. Now, Kavitta, believe it or not, founded this company while she was a student at UC Santa Barbara, and she raised over $6 million in VC funding. We're going to get all the tea, believe it or not. So Kavitta has been featured in TechCrunch and Fast Company. She is focused on tackling the fundamental challenges of our 400-year-old educational system by finally prioritizing the student experience. And we can all appreciate that. So without further ado, I want you guys to light up the screen, show me lots of love, show her all the love. Let me see the hearts. Let me see the emojis. Let's welcome the amazing, the incredible Kavitta Ghai. Welcome.
Thanks, Trish. That was an amazing intro. I love it.
You're so welcome. Welcome to Too Ambitious. I'm so glad that you're here and that you're joining me today. And we're going to have a good conversation because if anyone's out there, if you are all into AI, this conversation is really we're going to leave inspired because, Kavitta is going to tell us a little bit more about her journey. So I'm going to give you the floor, Kavitta. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, in your own words, tell us what is Nectar?
Yeah, absolutely. So Nectar is built to provide students with 24/7 personalized support. So imagine if you could go to ChatGPT and it knew everything about your strengths, weaknesses, areas of opportunity. It knew every class that you were taking, the textbooks of those classes, the syllabus, the assignments, how to do well on those assignments. It knew everything about you and could basically hold your hand and be your personalized learning partner. We believe that that's what every single student and teacher deserves, and that is the classroom of the future. And so that's what we built with Nectar AI.
Yes, and I love that you talk about the classroom of the future because we all know the educational system does need a great overhaul.
Totally.
So the fact that you are building this amazing personalized tool is incredible, and I can't wait to hear all about it. Now, what I'm fascinated by is that you built this while you were still at UC Santa Barbara, undergraduate. Kavitta, what was going on in your life at that time that led you to creating this tool? Tell me a little bit about it because this doesn't just happen.
It definitely doesn't. And it was not what I expected my first job ever to be, was running my own company. But it was really born out of this frustration that my co-founder Jordan and I had with our own classroom experience. So for me, I'm autistic and I have ADHD. And so no classroom that I've ever been in before in my life has felt comfortable for me or my brain to be in. And then I got to college and I started paying $40,000 to be really uncomfortable. And that's finally when it became enough of a pain point for me that I said, either I'm going to drop out or I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah. I think that, and I know that myself and so many others like you, have had these learning challenges throughout, our educational years. And, the fact that you were so self aware that you're like, let's do something about it, is really, speaks to who you are. So when
Thank
you're
you.
thinking, yeah, of course. And while you're thinking through Nectar in those early stages, what was the initial problem that you were trying to solve for, you know?
Yeah. When we first looked at of all of the things in the education system that we could
Yeah.
possibly tackle, there's a lot of problems there. But the one
Yeah.
that just kept standing out to me and to UCSB was the fact that 1 out of every 3 freshmen drops out before their sophomore year. For some
No.
reason, in a country that is this well resourced, we cannot seem to get more than 50% of students to graduate from college in 4 years. And
Yeah,
we know that this is the best opportunity for upward mobility that we have. This
absolutely.
is the key for people like me who are first generation to be able to go and make a living for myself and for my family. And
Right.
so it just struck me over and over again, why are we expecting 18 to 22-year-olds to navigate this 5-figure insane 4-year system on their own to figure out what they want to do for the rest of their lives, figure out even before that how to register for the right classes, how to do
Yeah,
financial aid, all of
right.
these things that are completely new and novel to us. We sort of just throw them in the deep end and say, good luck, figure it out on your own. And for a lot of
Yeah,
students, they can't. And that's not a fault of theirs. It's a fault of the system that we've put them in that we have not modernized, even though we have the technology to do so. And so
yeah,
UCSB said we have 26,000 students and we have 14,000 staff, faculty, and administrators to help them. And it's still not enough people to provide students with the individual support that they need. And
yeah,
so with AI, it's the very first time in history that we actually can provide a personalized learning partner to every single student that meets them where they are, that can translate any of this information into a language that is most comfortable to them. They can
yeah,
sit there and ask 500 questions that they would never ask to a human being because it's too scary or they think it's a dumb question. So this is really taking this AI technology that frankly a lot of people are scared of and making it
right.
safe and consumable for the classroom. And I think this is a proof point that when technology is used correctly, it really can solve some of the biggest, most pervasive problems that we have in society. But it does
Yes.
require you to implement and use it the right way.
I absolutely agree. AI responsibly, is what it's all about. And we've got some great comments coming in. We've got Lindsay who's saying 5 minutes in, and I'm already in awe. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for joining us. And then we have another lovely viewer who says Kavita is an inspiration, and I could not agree more. So thank you, everyone, for weighing
Thanks,
in.
everyone.
Now, yeah. Now, Kavita, the fact that we talk about AI responsibly, and that is something that obviously everybody knows AI is it's all about AI these days. If you're not building a product that has AI, people are like, "What are you really doing?" Right?
Yep.
But to me, it sounds like you were ahead of the game with implementing AI. Was AI always part of the solution in the beginning, or did you sort of grow the business from there?
No, it was definitely not. So when we started the company, it was 2018, and this
Mhm.
was, pre any sort of ChatGPT or AI, at least that
Right.
we knew of. And
Yeah.
so we had to think about, okay, how do we solve this problem of providing 24/7 personalized support to students to help them both in and out of the classroom? And the best thing that we could think of at the time was, okay, we've got 14,000 staff, faculty, and admin, but there's 26,000 other students. And there's got to
Right.
be somebody in your classes who can answer those questions for you. And I
Yeah.
think that that is the core value of why you go to college and you want to go
Yeah.
to the campus itself. It's the community, it's the network and the people around you. That's what you walk away with thinking this is the most valuable thing. You carry your alma mater with you for the rest of your life because you love the people who came from there. So we
Absolutely.
said we're going to build this sort of Slack like technology where it puts every single student into a group chat with the rest of their peers in their classes, and it gives them the opportunity to ask and answer each other's questions. And this was
Mm,
phenomenal. It was what UCSB used to take
brilliant.
the entire campus remote during COVID. So we had all 26,000 students using it in their classes with their teachers and their TA in those channels as well. And while it did work really well, we still knew we got to get them that extra mile, right? What if even they don't know the answer to the question? What if the
Yeah.
question is something that they don't even know who to go ask to? Like, based on all the classes that I've taken, what should I go do in the world? I still don't know
Right.
what I like, right? Who do you
Yeah.
ask that question to? And how can you have that conversation evolve over the 4 years that you're there? And
Right.
so what we did was in 2022, 23, we started hearing the whispers of ChatGPT. We heard about teachers banning it, districts banning it, people being really scared of basically it's this black box of information. I don't
Right.
know what it's telling my students. I have no idea where the knowledge is coming from. And so we said, okay, we hear you. We know that it's scary, but from a tech perspective, we knew this technology is here to stay. It is
Right.
going to be in every single aspect of our lives, and it's going to happen very quickly. And students need to be able to have that AI literacy in the classroom so that they're prepared for this brand new workforce they're about to enter. And
Right.
so we started with building an AI teaching assistant feature inside of your Nectar class channel. So a
Got it.
teacher could go and upload their syllabus, their textbook, basically all of the content they already had for their class. They would go and upload it to their AI teaching assistant. It would keep it private. It wouldn't share it back with OpenAI or Anthropic or any of these model providers, which was really important to them. And then
Seriously.
it would only use that as its source of knowledge to answer questions for the students. So it wouldn't pull anything from these LLMs. A student could go and ask a question 24/7 about the course material, and it would be able to give them an answer right there. So
Yeah.
students and teachers loved it because it was a safe way of using AI. And this was, right when ChatGPT was coming out. And
Right.
then Stanford GSB approached us in October of 23 and said, hey, we love that feature, but we're
Hmm.
going to need some way to be able to utilize all of these different LLMs from OpenAI and Anthropic and Gemini and be able to fine tune it on our own proprietary course and campus data. We don't want to share it back with those model providers. It's got to be safe and FERPA compliant, which is
Hmm.
basically HIPAA is to medicine, what FERPA is
Yep.
to education. So it's
Yeah.
got to be FERPA compliant. And we want to be able to create our own custom AI assistants. So maybe it's a teaching assistant, but maybe it's an AI career coach that's able to help all the students figure out what they want to do in life. Maybe it's an AI salary negotiator that helps them simulate what a salary negotiation conversation is going to be like when they get to the workforce. So
Right.
basically, as we have more and more emerging use cases for AI, we need AI infrastructure, basically an AI operating system that allows us to scale and grow all of the AI on our campus over the next few years. We need a
Mhm.
platform to do that. Can you build it for us? And
Wow.
so we decided we had 6 months of runway left in the bank. And my co founder and I looked at each other and we said, I think this is a better way of solving the problem. And it was one of those moments where you just have to take a bet on your gut instinct. And we
Yes.
did. And we spent 6 months with Stanford GSB, Boston University, Questrom School of Business, and Los Angeles Pacific University. We had them pressure test it, tell us what they loved, what they hated about it. We had their students and teachers use it day and night. And then 6 months later, in May of 2024, we launched Nectar AI to the world.
Wow. What a journey. And I mean, kudos to you and your co-founder for recognizing that moment where, it's time to pivot, right? And it's
Mhm.
time to sort of give the people what they're asking for, you
Yes,
know. So,
exactly.
yeah, so kudos to you all for doing that. What I find interesting too is that, you guys raised over 6 million for to start off the company. Did you raise those funds up until this point, or was this what you needed to get it going once you implemented the AI infrastructure to it?
No, so actually all of that 6 million that we raised was for Nectar Chat, the initial product. So I raised my first round of VC funding when I was 24. It was in 2021 and it was just 2 years out of college. I remember when I first heard the word VC when I was in college, I didn't even know what that was. I had no idea that you
Yeah.
could have someone give you money to go build a business.
Right?
Blew my mind that that was even possible. And so raised my first round of VC funding in 2021. It was about 2.25 million at the time. And it was just me and
Right.
my co-founder. We hadn't even hired anyone. We had been bootstrapping for about 3 years at that point.
Yeah.
And we finally said, okay, we've got enough here that we feel like we can go build $1 billion business out of this and really change the world. And then, we just kept finding really, really incredible investors out there who believed in us building the classroom of the future and us being the ones to deliver it to the world. And
Yeah.
I just feel so lucky to have been able to raise $6 million from truly incredible people who I now see as family.
Yes, yes. And we hear a lot of things about the VC funding process and everything like that. What it sounds like you had a great experience, raising the funds, and obviously it paid off.
Yeah.
So and you don't hear that a lot. We know that, less than 1% of, women, especially women of color, actually have access to VC funding. So the fact that you and your co-founder were able to do that is extraordinary,
Yes,
you
absolutely. It blows my mind that less than 2% of VC funding goes to female founders, 0.4% goes to female founders of color. And when you
Wow.
look at the stats of, okay, people always assume, well, maybe it's because men are better at business. If you
Right.
look at the returns that VCs get, for every dollar that is invested into a male led company, VCs get on average 30 cents back on the dollar. For
Yeah.
every dollar that is invested into a woman led company, VCs get on average 70 cents back on the dollar. They get
Yeah.
over double their return from female led companies. So, absolutely, it blows my mind that this is still a
Yeah.
stat that we're looking at today. And it was tough, I won't lie. But part of why I'm on this journey is not just to fix these huge problems in the education system and deliver this brand new classroom of the future. It's also
Right.
for other women like me to see
Yes.
it is possible for us to sit at these tables. This game was not built for us to play, but we can still get in there. And it's
Yeah.
actually not as hard as you think. I didn't come from an Ivy League. I didn't have a business major. I did not
Yes.
come from any sort of generational wealth or a family that had these connections, but it's still possible to break into these rooms, even when
Yeah.
it is the very first job that you've ever had. So,
Yes.
yes, it takes legwork, it takes building the network, and you're going to
Yeah.
have to do some out of the box things to find the right people. But the right
Right.
people are out there and they're not as scary as they sound. There are truly really incredible VCs who will stand by your side and teach you how to build $1 billion company and go
Mhm.
with you through the highs and the lows, because there will be a lot of lows and a lot of highs.
Yes. Yes, yes, especially when you are a founder, it's a lot of highs and lows all the time,
Yep.
but I love that, you're so aware of, what it takes to build, especially as a female founder, and inspiring so many other female founders that are coming behind you and who are standing beside you as well, so because you're right, it is possible. Sometimes it's easy to kind of think like, oh, I don't know if I can do this and that sort of thing, but it is possible. And women like
Totally.
you, definitely very, very inspiring.
Thank
And,
you.
of course. And so, oh, we've got a comment here. Sorry, I can't see your name, but the stats are so deplorable for women of color. It must change, especially when you get double the return. Absolutely. I
Absolutely.
totally agree. I don't know what the exact stats are for women of color business owners, but you're absolutely right, because I think part of it is community too. We have such a great knack for building community that will show up for us and support our businesses in a real way. So I think that definitely lends itself to it as well. So thank you so much for your comment. I do want to share a little bit about Nectar. So let's take, it's only a minute and a half, everyone. So if you're scrolling, it's only a minute and a half, but just so you get a little bit more context in terms of what it is that Kavitta has built. So
Meet
here we
Mr.
go.
Thompson, a dedicated teacher facing a familiar challenge. Too many essays to grade, not enough time for feedback, and an email inbox full of questions. How can he ensure that every student receives the help they need? Enter Nectar AI, a revolutionary and intuitive platform where Mr. Thompson can create a custom AI assistant for his class in minutes. In his writing course, many of his students struggle to write their essays. He decides to create a writing coach assistant to help. With just a few clicks, Mr. Thompson can control how his assistant interacts with his students and enable it to provide actionable feedback on their essays. He now has a safe and convenient way to integrate AI into his classroom, right from the LMS. Sarah, a student of Mr. Thompson, is unsure how to tackle her essay. Normally, she would be too afraid to ask for help, but with her new writing coach assistant, she has a safe space to voice her questions. Together, they can break down the assignment step by step, and the writing coach helps Sarah analyze how her arguments align with her thesis statement. Now equipped with actionable feedback, Sarah refines her essay and submits it on time. Nectar AI empowers educators and learners to leverage AI technology to create a truly personalized learning experience. Welcome to the classroom of the future.
Woo! Brilliant, brilliant. Tell me a little bit. When I watched that, all I'm thinking about, like, well, how'd they build that? What was the most challenging part of putting this infrastructure together, do you think, for you and your co-founder?
Yeah, I think that, and my co-founder is our CTO, so I say this, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I think that building the product is one piece of the puzzle, and it's difficult always to figure out what is that people actually want. What do we build? Are we selling it, B2B to the school itself? Are we selling it to the students, to the teachers? But in education, and this is what UCSB told us from the start, the reason that we see these tools in the classroom that feel like they were built by someone who hasn't seen a classroom for the last decade is because it is so difficult to scale tools across an entire campus. One, for them to be able to afford it. Then two, for their very bureaucratic system with so much red tape to even be able to get any tool approved is so
Right.
difficult. And then on top of that, to go in and teach teachers how to use these new technologies, how to set it up for their students. You basically have this problem where, unlike almost any other industry, you have three different groups that you have to satisfy to even get the tool on campus. You have the administrator who's buying it but never using it. You have the teacher who is the gatekeeper who has to actually implement it in their classroom. But the end user who we're actually trying to benefit is the student. They're the last one to actually touch it. So in order to break into the ed tech market, you have to really master and figure out those three target segments equally. And that's near impossible to do. We call it a 7.5-year overnight success because it took us so long to get to this point where it's actually working. And now I'm so thankful that it is, but it really was a journey to get here. And I think it speaks to the fact that startups don't die because you run out of money or you build the wrong product or you don't know how to sell things. We did all of those things. I didn't know how to sell. I had to learn it. It took me years. We didn't build the right product at first, and then eventually we figured it out. We were close to running out of money so many times. I mean, there were days where we had like 3 days of runway left in the bank and payroll was on Friday and we didn't know what we were going to do. But the real reason why startups fail is because the founders quit. You just run out of gas in the tank because this thing is hard to do. You're building the plane while it's falling out of the sky, and there's no instruction manual on how to do that. So I think that as long as you have the grit to stick it out, especially through the hard years where like nothing good is happening, there is no light at the end of the tunnel, and you really just have to run off of this pure, almost naive belief in yourself and what you're building, that is what is going to get you to the finish line. That's what gets you to success, just not giving up.
Yes. Amen. Amen. You are preaching today, Kavitta. You are absolutely, you are absolutely right, because there's so many times where you just want to give up, but you got to keep going. And I'm so happy that you and your co-founders did, because now you all are in 100 institutions nationwide. So congratulations,
Thank you.
For that. How are you thinking about the future of Nectar AI? Like, is it globally? Tell me, what are your thoughts? What's the plan?
Yeah, I would love to see this AI operating system in every single institution around the world, both K-12 and higher ed. We're starting with the largest education system in the world, which is the California Community College system. So I've been working on this deal with them for the last few years, and we're very, very excited for California to be the first state in the nation to launch Nectar AI statewide to all 116 community colleges across the state. And so that is truly setting precedent for the rest of the nation that this is safe and scalable technology that students deserve to have access to now. We know from the independent research studies that we've done that Nectar leads to up to a 20% increase in GPA, 13% rise in the final scores. And my personal favorite was a 36% boost in students' intrinsic motivation to learn. So it wasn't just helping them get the answer and get to the finish line of here's the assignment or here's the test. It was making them more confident going into the classroom because they knew they could ask as many questions as they needed to prepare before and after class. So we see 65% of our usage happen outside of normal business hours. So these are students who are sitting there at 3 a.m, probably after they've worked a job, especially if they're a community college student, or they're a single parent and that's the only time they have to ask questions, there's not going to be a human TA or a career coach or an academic advisor sitting there at that time ready to answer your question, but your AI will be there. And it is completely personalized to you. It knows every single class you've taken. It can sit there and say, here's what class you should take next. Or, here, based on all of the grades that you've gotten, this would be a really good internship for you to apply for this summer. And I think especially when we're trying to bridge these gaps between marginalized communities, that's how we do it. As a first generation student, I remember my sophomore year, I had no idea that 6 months before summer, you had to start looking for internships and applying to them. I didn't have anyone in my family do that, so I didn't know to do it myself. But imagine now, this is a level playing field for me. There is my AI learning partner who's going to remind me on time. And now I'm going to be able to set up my career in advance to be able to hit the ground running once I graduate. So I'm really excited to see, especially once this reaches a national and global scale, how we're able to bridge these gaps that before we really didn't have a good solution for whatsoever.
Yes. And, when we talk about equity and education, so important, to level that playing field. And like I was first gen, college. Yeah. A lot of things you were just figuring it out as you went along. So yeah, if I had Nectar, who knows? I don't know.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. Who knows? But we both turned out well, but still.
Exactly. We figured it out.
Yeah. We figured it out.
But it probably could have been easier to get here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Which, like you said, this is something for, a lot of people who did not have those resources. And now Nectar is basically, a career coach, a friend, that they can lean on to help them to make the best decisions for their future. And I think that, wow, the fact that you are actually changing lives with the company and tool that you build is absolutely genius and incredible. So thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely, really, really good.
Yeah. So, you've said that your mom always said that you should write a book. So what would the title of that book be? And what would we learn about you from reading it?
Oh, it's a really good question. I think it's probably my favorite question that I've gotten on a podcast before.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And a good editor would probably tell me that's far too long of a title. So we'll workshop it at some point in the future. But the reason that I would pick that as my title, it's my favorite quote. And it is something that I remind myself of on the tough days, that your only limit in life is the one that you put on yourself. There is truly nothing that is impossible to achieve as long as you believe that you can do it. I really believe that my life has been an example of the fact that your thoughts create your reality. I was not supposed to be the person who did this, right? Learning disability, no business school, didn't go to an Ivy League, all the things that I listed. I didn't have any of the makings of someone who changes the world.
Yeah.
And I think I was probably the last person that anyone in my high school or college would have guessed would be in this position right now.
Yeah.
And I want that to stand as, obviously it brings me joy and pride for myself, but more than that, I want it to be a beacon to others that there is no one size fits all of someone who goes and solves really tough and important problems in the world. Yep. If you believe that you can, you will find a way to do it. You just have to hold on to that belief in yourself.
Yes. And I love that. Thank you for sharing that. We've got one question here from Lindsay. Hey, Lindsay. She says, do you see this going beyond the classroom? For example, Nectar can help with financial aid, advising, responsible borrowing, scholarship opportunities, etc. Great question, Lindsay.
Absolutely. It is already doing exactly that. So it's built for schools to be able to create these AI assistants that are either in the classroom or, like you're saying now, outside of the classroom, sort of campus wide. One of my favorite use cases of it is for students to be able to go and ask, hey, based on my background, which scholarships and grants do I fit best for? And then help me write the essay and fill it out and, submit it on time. Because I remember leaving college thinking I didn't apply for a single scholarship, and I should have. I would have absolutely fit the criteria for so many of them. But I lost that whole opportunity because I didn't even know that they were out there and how to go apply for it and where to submit it and when the deadlines. I knew nothing about it. And so it's especially one of those gaps that we see where so many students drop out because they don't have this out of the classroom support of how do I actually navigate the filling out the registration paperwork, doing my
Right.
FAFSA stuff, getting the scholarships and the grants to actually get me through the next semester. That's
Mhm.
why most students are dropping out. And
Yeah.
so absolutely, we can bridge those gaps, and we are, and it's phenomenal to be able to give students that support 24/7.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about it, I know like, and it's probably the same for you. It's like when you go to college, it was like you go to college, you get education. No one tells you about all the in-between stuff that you have to do in order
Yep.
to continue going to school, to learn, and also while thinking about your future at the same time. Like no one
Hmm.
talks about that. We should talk
Totally.
about it more, but luckily Nectar is here
Yep.
to save the day. If someone wants to get in contact with you or use Nectar, how should they reach out to you, and what's the best way to approach you?
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to give you a demo of Nectar, see if it's right for your classroom or your campus. You can find us at nectar.io, nectir.io. You can schedule some time with us, but you can also reach out to me anytime on LinkedIn. I am always there. Please feel free to reach out to me, especially if you are a woman of color or a founder and you're just trying to figure out how do I get started. Would love to help you and give you that boost that I got from other founders. We love to pay it forward, and I'm constantly giving intros to my VCs. And so if you're just about to go start raising
Nice.
around, I'm there to help you. I'm super happy to do it.
Yeah, I love that you are holding the door open for that next woman founder behind you. Because none of us can do this alone. So kudos to
Takes a
you for that.
village.
So, yeah, it does take a village, a community, and some millions too. But still, but
Absolutely.
it does take a village. Do you consider yourself ambitious, Kavita?
Absolutely. I think that I have been ambitious since the day that I arrived on this earth. I knew that I was here for something special. I didn't
Yeah.
know what it was until I started Nectar, and probably actually until years into Nectar. But I love my ambition. It's one of my favorite parts of me. It is something that I will hold on to until the day that I die. And it's fueled me to this point, and I see nothing but beauty and joy in my ambition.
Oh, I love that. I love that answer. Oh, Lindsay, our favorite. Lindsay says, super curious, where did the name Nectar originate? It originated.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great question. I
Yeah.
give credit to my co-founder Jordan for this. So when we started Nectar, it was this Slack-like technology that wanted to connect students, and we thought about how the connections, the network, the community that you make on campus, that is the nectar of college, right? That is the most valuable thing that you walk away with. And the second piece of it is sort of if we can allow students to come to the classroom confident, prepared, ready to engage with one another, then what we can do with Nectar is facilitate this cross pollination of ideas. And I think
Yes.
that is what is one of the most impactful things about being on a college campus. It's the fact that my co-founder and I met each other from completely different backgrounds, would have never
Yeah.
met each other in the world unless we were at UCSB together,
Right.
and both saw the same problem in the world and then had the platform and the community and space to be able to start this company. And so
Yes.
that cross pollination of ideas led us to this point. And so we
Mm.
always said if we do this right, more nectars will emerge from the use of nectar.
Yes. Brilliant. Brilliant. Great question, Lindsay. Thank you so much. And I love that because, yeah, I also, too, when I think of nectar, I think, something sweet, something that you just can't get enough of. That's just me. So, there's
Yep,
that.
exactly.
Suzanne Walker also says mindset matters. It absolutely does. Thank you, Suzanne. And I want to thank everyone for joining our show today and being so engaged. Lindsay from Arizona, appreciate you jumping in. Aaron from Idaho, hello. We had some people from LA, San Francisco. So what's up, you all? Thank you so much for joining us. And I got to say, thank you, Kavitta Ghai, for being with me today. This was an amazing conversation about the future of education, leveraging AI. So I want to thank you for sharing your gifts with us and the world. And I can't wait to see how much further you go. I mean, California is just the first step. So, who knows? So thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you for having me, Trish. This was such a wonderful time being here, and I'm so glad that you gave me the platform to share this story. Can't appreciate you enough. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. And I will see you next time. I'm going to definitely continue to learn more about Nectar, and I hope everyone else decides to do so as well. Speak their name in rooms that they're not in, because this, I think, is already changing education already. It's reinventing, and I literally cannot wait to see how much further you continue to go with it. So this is quite
Thank you.
brilliant. So yeah, thank you. So thank you everyone for watching.